Story 1. Anyway, around 8 years back, I lived in northern Mozambique, a coastal southern African country with quite a warm climate. My mother at the time was going through a health nut phase and only buying foods she deemed healthy enough. One of these was coconuts. She would buy several coconuts a week to use in food from the local market. Anyway, being a horny teenager, I fapped in regular intervals. Unfortunately, there was some severely stressful examinations coming up for me, and as such, my fapping reached a higher peak than usual, and I was feeling pretty sexually frustrated. One day, I hear that my mother is going to be out for pretty much the entire afternoon. Horny me decides that it would be a fantastic idea to fuck a coconut. Honestly, to this day, I can't fathom why I thought that would be a good idea, but my train of thought back then was clearly somewhat clogged. I end up grabbing the coconut drill and through 20-ish minutes of concerted effort end up creating a hole, large enough for me to stick my porker into. I decide it requires some lube and grab the nearest slippery thing, some butter, before shoving it into the coconut, followed shortly by my meat. I fuck the coconut and it actually feels pretty damn good, so I blow my load, shove the coconut under my bed, and continue about my day. For the next week, the coconut is my savior. Whenever I want to get off, I simply take it out and fuck it in. Its delightfully tight hole made better each time by accumulating volumes of my semen and butter acting as a lubricant. It's heaven. Now, before I continue, I'd best mention that at the time our area was experiencing quite humid, muggy weather, which exacerbated an already existing fly problem. Disgustingly fat, bloated flies were commonly found around our house, and the exterminators couldn't really do anything because it was a localized area problem that would go away in the winter. About a week and a bit after the initial coconut fuck, I had been using it pretty much every day since then, I begin to notice a few more flies than usual, as well as an odd, unpleasant smell about my room. Must be the coconut, right? So I decide that I'll fuck it once more before I throw it out and get a new one. Worst mistake I have ever made. You see, the reason for the increased number of flies was that the coconut was evidently, in hindsight, a nearly perfect place to lay eggs. As I penetrate the coconut one last time, I begin to feel a strange wriggling sensation. Puzzled, I pull my cock out to discover that it is covered in rotted and moldy butter and semen and teeming with tiny fucking maggots. They were wriggling all over my dickhead, and some were even trying to force their way up into my urethra. I screamed and threw the coconut against the wall, which made the situation worse by spilling the contents. Hours of vigorous cock-scrubbing, vomiting, and cleaning the remnants were spent reflecting on what the fuck I was doing with my life. Never again, don't fuck coconuts. Edit. Jesus, this exploded. I'm glad my maggoty experience made some people laugh because I sure cry every time I think back to it. Edit 3. Thanks for the gold. It eases my shame a little. I'm thinking of doing an AMA for you more curious individuals. Maybe if the post hits 10K. It's quite uncomfortable to discuss, though, as the visceral memories come back. Edit 4. My shame has never been this large. 47.1K upvotes. My story of coconut fucking is now permanently etched into Reddit's history. Lord save me. Comments. I get that your horny brain made you think that fucking a coconut was a good idea. That's not even what surprises me. But your brain is supposed to return to normal after you blow your load. So why did your normal brain tell you it's fine to leave an open coconut in a warm room with semen and butter in it? And most importantly, how were you not disgusted at the idea of fapping by using your several days old semen as lubricant? Yeah, that semen lube grossed me out more than anything. Well, besides the maggots in my urethra part. How would anyone think that's a good idea? I think my favorite part of the story is the 20 minutes you spent drilling the hole in the coconut. That really shows some serious commitment to your goals. 20 minutes prepping a coconut for fornication, and at no point do you stop to second-guess yourself. Way to stand by your decision. I mean, a lot of time foreplay with a lady friend can be 20 minutes of activity to get things slippery and ready for action. Just so happens that this dude's foreplay was with a power drill, butter, and a coconut. Was worried that your mum was accidentally going to use the coconut whilst cooking and serve it as a meal for dinner. Yeah, I honestly thought this was where the story was heading. OP would come home and find his mum eating the already opened coconut and drinking its juice. You ever wonder if one of the maggots found its way into your dick hole and you just have like a giant fly slowly growing inside of you? Surely the moral of the story is don't have one last crack and something which smells rotten. Thought TBH I saw this going a whole different way. Along the lines of, given the heat I decided to store the coconut in a Ziploc bag in the fridge, followed by having to explain why OP's mother's coconut milkshake tasted salty. Story 2. Let me tell you that I have made a bad mistake this evening. My girlfriend, who let me tell you is only my second girlfriend of all time, said I am invited to dinner with her and her parents. I was very aghast, nervous, and bashful to be invited to such a situation. But I knew it must be done. I met them nicely, I should tell you, and it started off in a good way. The idea slapped my mind that I should do a comic bit to make a good impression and become known to them as a person who is amusing. When I saw that baked potatoes were served, I got the idea that it would be very good if I pretended I did not know what potatoes was. That would be funny. Well, let me tell you, backfired on my face. I'll tell you how. So first, when the potato became on my plate, I acted very interesting. I showed an expression on my face so as to seem that I was confused, astounded, but in a restrained way, curious and interested. They did notice and seemed confused, but did not remark. So I asked, "This looks very interesting. What is this?" They stared at me, and the mother said, "It's a baked potato." And I was saying, "Oh, interesting, a baked, what is it again?" And she was like, "A potato." And I was like, "A potato? Oh, interesting. Never heard of a potato, looks pretty good." And then they didn't see I was clowning, but thought I really did not know what is a potato. So I knew I would be very shamed, humiliated, depressed, and disgusted if I admitted to making a bad joke, so what I did was to act as if it was not a joke. But I committed to the act of pretending I didn't know what a potato is. They asked me, very incredulous, did I really not know what a potato is? That I never heard of a potato? I went with it and told them, yes, I did not ever even hear of a potato. Not only had I never eaten a potato, I had never heard the word potato. This went on for a bit, and my girlfriend was acting very confused and embarrassed by my fucked up antics. And then the more insistent I was about not knowing what a potato is was when them parents starting thinking I did know what a potato was. Well, let me tell you, I had to commit 100% at this point. When I would not admit to knowing what a potato was, the father especially began to get annoyed. At one point, he said something like, "Enough is enough. You're fucking with us. Admit it." And I said, "Sir, before today I never heard of a potato. I still don't know what a potato is, other than some kind of food. I don't know what to tell you." Well, let me tell you, he got very annoyed. I decided to take a bite of the potato. And when I did, I made a high-pitched noise and said, "Tastes very strange." That is when the father started yelling at me, and the mother kept saying, "What are you doing?" And my girlfriend went to some other room. Finally, the father said I should get the fuck out of his house, and I said it was irrational to treat me like this just because I never heard of a potato before. Well, let me tell you, he didn't take that kindly. Now, in text messages, I have been telling my girlfriend I really don't know what a potato is. The only way I can ever get out of this is for them to buy that I don't know what a potato is. I wish. I never started it, but I can't go back. I think she will break up with me anyway.